For a long time in my life, I thought the answer to all of my problems was just getting into a relationship. I thought that I would just fall in love with somebody, we would live our days happily ever after, and every problem, every issue, everything that bothered me in my life would just kind of fall to the wayside and melt away, disappear, whatever, because I'd be in love and I'd be happy and I'd have a relationship and everything would just be rainbows and sunshine and gold and whatever. Sadly, as I grew up, I realized that's not the truth. It's not reality. And I've wondered for a long time, I've wondered where that idea even came from, where this thought of all of my problems just being solved by something so simple like getting in a relationship, simple stuff really. But I don't know. I wonder if it came from like watching too many Disney movies growing up, or the lack of happy relationships in my surrounding life, like my divorced parents and things like that. Other family members maybe just gave me the idea that like they're all unhappy because they're not in relationships anymore or something. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, my younger brain, my younger self was just not the smartest kid, to be honest. So who knows where that idea came from. But anyway, not really the point. The point is that was a tall ask or a tall order. As much as I thought it was like the answer to all of my issues, it wasn't something easy for me. It wasn't something just simple, like, I'm just gonna go talk to this girl, we're gonna fall in love, and we're gonna live happily ever after. It's just not that cut and dry. And that's mostly because of me being a pretty socially awkward kid. I was never very uh, I was never very extroverted. I was never much of a go-getter. I was always a quiet, shy type. So talking to anybody in general was not something I did a lot, not something I was very comfortable with, especially strangers. But then you add into the mix of like, I'm supposed to go talk to a girl that I have a crush on. That's insane. That's crazy. My stomach gets all twisted and you just clammy and shaky and anxiety and you know it's tough. You're talking to a crush, you're talking to a girl you like or a guy you like, it doesn't matter what gender, you're talking to somebody you like. It's intimidating to say the least, or at least I thought it was for a long time. And then you grow up and you get into a relationship or two or three or whatever, and you know you start to realize that it's, for one, not the answer to life's problems. It can help for sure, with many different things. For me, a big thing I needed was just somebody to confide in. I just honestly, I didn't really need a girlfriend to per se. I needed a friend in general that I could trust enough to confide all of my problems and feelings into, and somebody to just talk to all the time. Just really just needed a friend, I think, growing up. But anyway, not really the point. The point that I'm trying to make is that it's not as difficult as it may seem. And I mean, especially if you've never been in a relationship, that's probably the most intimidating time because it's new. And if you do find yourself in a relationship, that's a whole nother can of worms of figuring out what that even entails and what that's like, and you know putting all the pieces together, if you will. Getting there is the harder part, at least in my mind, or in my life and in my experience. But once you get there, once you got there, once you have a girlfriend, or you've had a girlfriend, or you've been in relationships, and you kind of realize like people are not scary, you know? It's silly to say, but I mean, even still to this day, I'm still pretty socially awkward. I still don't really like talking to people if I don't have to. I like to avoid the crowds. I like to, you know, order my food online so I don't have to call the pizza delivery place or pizza place, not delivery place. Anyway, point being, I avoid human interaction really as much as possible because I don't like talking to people. I'm not very charismatic. I'm not very social. I'm not very good at talking to people. But I have realized as I've gotten older that it's kind of silly to be afraid of. It's kind of silly to be scared to talk to people, whether they're just a stranger in passing or somebody that you're deeply in love with. They're just people at the end of the day. They are just people like you and me and everyone else. We're all just human beings with thoughts and feelings, and we all have our anxiety moments, you know. And so as much as it's not as simple as just, muster up the courage and go talk to that person and go tell them how you feel, because it's not that simple. It's never that simple. But in some ways, it really is that simple. You really do just have to kind of separate yourself from your feelings and remind yourself, like, hey, this person that I have a huge crush on for however long, it could be years, it could be days, it doesn't matter, is just a person like me, and they have feelings too, and maybe their feelings won't line up with yours. I've been there many times, and I'm not really here to give advice on how to get over that, because that's just you just deal with it, and then one day it doesn't affect you anymore. But that's a topic for another video. In general, it is just as much as I say it, as much as I just said, it's not that simple. It is that simple of just muster up the courage and go talk to the person. I'm not saying go profess your love immediately. You might scare some people away doing that. I've been there before too. It doesn't work out like you'd think, like in the movies. Granted, that is all very dependent on your situation. And I think that's the biggest problem with trying to give any kind of advice about anything is it's all so situation dependent, because you could have a crush on somebody who secretly also has a giant crush on you, and all you have to do is spark up that conversation, and one thing leads to another, and eventually you find out that you both really like each other, and then happily ever after. That's what happened to me. And you know, luck, luck, lucky me. Luck is not always on your side. It's not always going to work out that way, because I've been on the other side of that too, where you might think somebody feels some type of way and they feel the opposite, and then you're kind of just left with your heart in your hand, not sure where to go, not sure what to do. Things didn't work out. That happens. It happens more often than it should. Well, I just happens. There really is no whether it should or not happen. It's just life. It's just feelings. It's not something you can I mean, I shouldn't say it's not something you can be upset over, because it's pretty upsetting, when you finally do get the courage and you get your heart broken. It's pretty upsetting, but it's not something you can hold on to forever. You gotta grieve and get over it and move on. There's as as I don't think corny is the right word, but with how repeated it is, it's just kind of tiring to hear, let alone say. But there's plenty of fish in the sea. There's plenty of people out there, and you might think that it's the perfect person and you already found them and things didn't work out and there's no hope. I've been there. I've been there for a long time. I thought me and this girl were gonna be forever and ever and ever, and it turns out she didn't even like me that way. And I was crushed for a long, long time. And I thought that that was just it for me. I thought that was it. I thought this one girl that I had a huge crush on for so long, she was gonna be the girl. She was the girl of my dreams. Whatever. We were gonna live happily ever after, and yada yada yada. And after that didn't pan out and didn't work out, I I gave up. I swore off of it. I said I'm never gonna find another girl that I feel the same way for. I'm never gonna fall in love. I'm never gonna have a relationship, whatever. I'll just be lonely and miserable forever. And then some other girl walked into my life and caught my attention and caught my heart's eyes, if you will, for a different way to say that I got a crush on her. But it really is just that simple. It's just one day, someday, somebody else comes along and catches your eye or catches your attention, or I shouldn't say catches your eye because relationships are a lot more than attractiveness, but in the sense of metaphors or whatever, you know, you see a girl, it's love at first sight. You see a person, it's love at first sight. I should be more gender neutral because it doesn't matter who you're in love with. Love is beautiful, no matter what. And so you see somebody and you fall in love with them immediately, love at first sight, and you start talking and you're becoming best of friends and things work out. I'm not guaranteeing that that's how it's going to happen. There is no guarantee is how it's going to happen. Everybody's story is differently. That's the beauty of relationships and life and in general is everybody's story unfolds in a different way. You just have to keep trying. You have to keep that hope alive. You have to keep that positivity, or maybe you just have to give up. You know, as much as that's probably the worst advice you could ever hear, if you just walk with me for a minute, that's what I did, right? In the story I just kind of told, but not really because I'm not very good at whatever. It doesn't matter. That's what I did, right? I gave up. I said, I'm never going to get in a relationship. I'm never going to fall in love. I'm never going to find somebody to fix my problems, which don't go looking for a relationship if you're just looking for somebody to fix your problems. I promise you, it's going to cause a lot more than it's worth, and things are going to be a lot worse than when you left them. Anywho, tidbit aside, I gave up. I completely gave up. I stopped searching for love as if I was ever really searching that hard. I was kind of just a hopeless romantic, heart on my sleeve kind of kid who loved from a distance, loved from the shadows, I guess. Because, like I said, I was really shy and awkward, and I would never, ever walk up to the girl I like and start chatting it up to her, let alone tell her how I feel. Like, I'm not that bold. I'm not that courageous. I wish I was because it would save me a lot of grief in my younger years had I just had the courage to walk up and say how I felt, instead of sitting on that unknowing of what could be or what might be or what might never be. And you bite the bullet and you get over it and you find out like, oh, that girl doesn't like me. Well, that's fine. I will find somebody new to crush on, or things work out in your favor and you live happily ever after. There's no guarantee. Like I said before, there's no guarantee. So, my point that I'm trying to get to is maybe don't waste your time looking for love. Don't go chasing it. Don't go searching around for it. Just wait. Just wait. Just live your life. Do the things that make you happy. Be the person that you want to be, that you've always wanted to be. And love will find you eventually, you know? It might not be as quick as you hope. It might not be the person that you dream of, that you see in passing every day at school or at work or whatever. But it doesn't matter. Love is beautiful. Love is love. Love is everywhere. And sometimes you just have to stop looking for it. Sometimes you just have to give up. As silly as it sounds and as silly as it is, sometimes you just gotta wait. Life has a plan for everybody. At least I try to think so. Things in my life have gone very, very differently than I ever expected or wanted or thought that they would. But I can proudly say that even in my unhappiest of moments and my darkest of times, I live a life surrounded by people that love me, you know? And that's what matters. That's what's important. whether it's whether it's just family, friends, or you're in a happy relationship, it doesn't matter. Love is still love, and love is still important. And sure, being in a relationship is awesome. Having a girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, situationship, relationship, marriage, whatever you're in, it's awesome. It's great. But so is being single. So is having freedom to do whatever you want to do. And granted, every relationship is different. People have different boundaries and different, you know, I guess boundaries is as simple as it gets. I can't think of any other word for it, but you know, not everybody is super controlling and cares about what you're doing 24/7, but being single, you have nobody to like worry about you. You know, you can go and stay out until 4 in the morning with your friends and then come home and sleep in the same clothes you left in, and nobody's gonna bat an eye. Well, your mom might say something if you live at home, but like you don't have a significant other that's concerned about your well-being or where you've been or whatever, you know. And as much as relationships are awesome and happy and love and it's great, there's also a lot of negativity that comes with it. Fighting and bickering and disagreements and arguments and intermixing of families can get real messy real fast, you know, clashing personalities and learning about each other and learning things that you might not like about that perfect person that you dreamed of dating and dreamed of marrying and whatever, and then you get together and after a month or so you're like, "Oh my goodness, this person is not who I thought they were." You know what I mean? Like there's so much that goes into it. There's so much that can happen and that can come from it, and just it's just a mess. Life in general is just a huge mess, and I think it's a waste of time to sit around on your feelings instead of acting on them. I think that's the conclusion I'm coming to here, is that there's no point in sitting around and thinking about how you feel, or just sitting on your feelings in general. Go out there, be bold, tell that girl how you feel, or don't. Just talk to her, talk to him, talk to them. You know, join that class or club or basketball team or whatever. You know, don't sit around and think about what you could do or what you should do or what might make you happier or whatever. Just act, just do, just live. You know, live, love, and learn. That's all life is about. It's just living and loving, learning as you go, and just biting that bullet and taking it on the chin. Whether it goes well, whether it goes bad, there's always tomorrow. There's always another day. There's plenty of fish out in the sea. You know, life is long and it's worth living once you start to do it. So, I don't know. That's my advice for you, I guess, today is just do it. Do something. Be somebody. Tell them how you feel. Tell them what's on your mind and just talk. Just talk. No more silence. No more quiet kid in the corner of class like I was. Just just be yourself and be proud of it. That's all. Thank you. I love you.